Okay, welcome to the Android class. This video is intended to patch the holes as far as the book goes. The book has some great information and good projects associated with it, but it has become a bit outdated in this, as far as some of the methods go, and also it uses Eclipse. So I'm going to fix that by showing you how to use Android Studio. Right now, as of June 26, 2015, Android, Google here in their blog has said that they are now dropping any kind of updates to Eclipse, so it's officially dead. And it says to move to Android Studio, as you can see there. If you want to read this, just you can Google Android, drops Eclipse or something like that. So anyway, you need to go ahead and focus yourself on Android Studio. This is what we're going to be using the entire course, and I'm going to show you how to get around some of the stuff that the book has. Again, the book has some really good information and good projects, and a lot of the code is still usable, and I'm going to show you how to sort of move with the times and catch you up, and just show you an update. I'm going to show you an updated version of this class. So a lot of the times when you have, this is a PDF of the book, when you have the book and it has you run through these setup wizards, and you can see the little purple right there, that's Eclipse. So I'm going to just show you an easier way around. Actually, Eclipse has a lot of these workarounds to kind of create different things, but Android Studio is quite a bit faster. So let's go ahead and again, this is just showing you, when it shows you this stuff, just how to set up pages and do some stuff that you would do in Eclipse, but you can't do on Android Studio, and you do it differently in Android Studio. But when you get to the actual coding, let me see if I can give you an example like this. This still works. Most of the time, it always works, and I'm going to try and, if it's outdated, I will show you a new way of doing that. So anyway, so there's the book. So also, I'm on a Mac. You may be on a PC. I like Mac. Also, if you want to be building iOS apps, you have to use a Mac. So it just makes sense, if I want to build Android and iOS, you'd use the Mac because you can build both. But anyway, Android Studio is identical in both, so we shouldn't run into any weird issues just visually right now. Okay, so also, if you don't have Android Studio, I'm going to show you where to get it. You can just go down to developer.android.com/SDK, or just Google here in Chrome Android, just say SDK, and it'll take you to that first little page right there. Okay? And that'll take you right here. You download it, follow the instructions. There's a bunch of libraries that you're going to need, and that'll also try and keep updated for you. Also, this is the page for your Android development. So no matter what you want to be on here, this makes a huge difference. Android or developer.android is sort of the Bible for that. Okay, so let's say you got it going. We're going to come over here to Android Studio, and I'm going to just click on it and get it going. It's built by IntelliJ, so if you ever use that for your Java, it's pretty awesome. It's a great IDE. So we're going to do a new Android project right here. My application, let's call it example 00. Okay. So we're on the start page. Here we go. Also, you want to make sure that you save it. Here's the big deal. Save it somewhere that you're going to keep it there the whole time. You don't want to be moving it from like a flash drive over to your computer, back and forth all the time. Keep it somewhere on there. I keep it on my Dropbox just so it just stays there. I don't have to mess with it. Next, Android. So this is where you're going to set up what OS it's going to be running. Running on, I guess I should say, 4.1. Don't go any lower than that. You're going to run into issues with maps and some other stuff. Even I would try and keep it at 4.2. The device I was using, I I had to stick with 4.1. It's just an older device, but if you have something newer, go ahead and choose that. Okay, so we're going to go next. Also, these are what your templates are. We're always just going to choose blank activity, except for when we come to the maps later. And then this is awesome. So if you want to do a maps app later, you're going to choose this one. Otherwise, it's a huge pain in the butt to sit there and try to, code out the whole map template. Anyway, so we're going to hit next. Main activity. Always keep this main activity just as it is, unless you're doing a splash screen. We'll talk about that later. So we'll hit finish. And then this is the first page, but it's thinking, so something else will pop right up. There we go. This will all go away here in a second. Takes a second. It's kind of a hefty program here. Okay, if you notice, mine probably looks different than yours. It's still thinking, as you can look down here into this little status swirly bar or whatever swirly circle thing. All right, there it goes. We're going to change. I like this dark layout, and if you notice that a lot of the examples on YouTube, everyone switched to this because your eyes just kind of get used to this dark instead of the bright whiteness. Let me just show you how to do that. Preferences, Android Studio Preferences, and we can go to Appearance, and I just changed it right there from default to Darkula. Okay, I'm going to hit cancel because I've already changed it to Darkula. I just like the way it looks. I think it looks better, personally. Okay, so this is what happens when you first pull it up. So first off, before we hit up all this, we're just going to talk about your file manager here. And this is the project, so make sure projects is clicked. It should already be. And then here's something that is a bit helpful. Make sure that this little drop down box has Android checked. If it's on project, which is kind of confusing because you think, oh, that's my project. Excuse me, that's where everything is, but it's not. It's under Android. So. And right here, I'm just going to go over what's going on with these. Manifest is basically an XML file that is just some housekeeping but general rules that allow your app to do different things. Access to internet, do different rules. Android Studio does a really good job of maintaining and managing all that for you and adding the things in that you need most of the time. There's a few times that you will need to actually tell it to say access the internet or do all these different things. Just keep that in mind. The book makes you type out a lot of these different things. I'm going to just show you how that you don't have to do that in Android Studio. Okay, here's your Java classes. Here's my main activity, and that's actually right here. I'm not going to go into this thing just yet, but that's where you keep all that. So this one you don't really mess with. Here's your resource folder, and this is going to keep all your pictures in it and drawable once you do use images. Layout, activity main. Also, just a quick note, drawable, you're going to be working with PNGs a lot with Android. That's sort of what it likes, as opposed to JPEGs or anything. Just so you keep that in mind too. Layout, here's your XML. These are all your XML files. They're going to be in here, and then your main activity, activity main. You notice these are very similar because they are. So what happens in Android, excuse me, what happens in Android is basically you have an XML file and you have a Java file, and they talk to each other. So you have a correlating XML and a correlating Java. Basically your XML is kind of like HTML, and it is a design, a way to design things. So in the past, you have probably just worked with Java, and if you were to write a button, you would have to do all this code to write a button, and eventually your IDE would show it. You could do that in this, but it's sort of a runaround way to work. And all your design is going to be in XML, and then all the Java has to do is say, oh, you have this, and it's written in XML, and you have IDs that are to tag each thing. So a button has an ID, a text has an ID. And then Java just goes, oh, what's the ID for that? Okay, now I can read the button, I can read the text, I can mess around with it and change things. So I always think of it like this. Your main activity is sort of the brains, and then the XML, or sorry, I mean the Java is the brains, the logic that you're going to be writing, and the XML is just sort of the outside, you know, the skin, everything, the way everything looks. Okay? And so if you want to change the logic or have it do anything, you do it in Java. And if you want to change the way it looks, you do it in XML. That's the easiest way to think about it. And it's a lot faster that way. So back here, let's see, there's not much else. The strings, you'll mess with that a couple times, but other than that, everything's here. These are your launchers right here. This one, these are basically just how you find it. So if your launcher icon, that's what this. You'll learn how to change those later, and I have an awesome website for that too, to help you do that. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now we're done with this. I think that kind of explained a majority of the stuff that you'll be looking at over here. We're going to look at we already kind of looked at this. This is our main activity. When we do, you'll do a majority of it just under where it says activity main. That's where you're going to be working mainly inside here. Some of this other stuff, I don't even mess with it. It's just kind of housekeeping again right there. In fact, I've deleted a lot of this before, and it's run pretty fine. So anyway, activity main, you're going to be working underneath here, and you just have to pay attention to these type of things right here later on. Action bar activity. Also, if you want your line numbers, you right click and then show line numbers. So there you go, if you want to know how to do that. Also, these are all the libraries that you've imported right there. And it just hides all that stuff for you. Sometimes it'll hide a lot of the sort of boilerplate code when it writes it out, and you'll see it. It'll be kind of that light gray, and then if you click on it, it'll expand. So that's just the way. If you've used IntelliJ, it's similar. So just so you know, that's what's going on when you're over here. Let's see. Oh, also, one more thing before we get into the XML, which is kind of what I want to talk about, is occasionally you'll have it saved weird, or something will happen where you'll get this R and it'll turn red in all these, and it won't run. You'll have errors, and you can see over here when things have an error. Let's say I change that to a W, okay? It's going to give me an error. So let's say that was supposed to be an R, but let's say my R turned there. I also have my red over there, so it tells me where these things or these issues are going on. And I'm going to run an error here in a little bit just to show you. So W cannot resolve. You just kind of hold the mouse over there. There we go. So I'm going to change that back to R. But let's say that R didn't work, and for some reason it should. What you're going to do is you're going to come over here to Run, and you're going to say Rebuild Project, and most of the time that'll fix that issue, which you will have that issue every once in a while. Just rebuild it or hit Clean. Either one of those will work. Okay? Great. So hopefully that'll help fix some of the issues that you run across. Those two things are pretty great. Let's go ahead and we're going to click over here to our activity main XML. All right, we already have an issue. At least I do. Yours is probably looking great. But for right now, I'm having a rendering problem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change my app theme. So as you can see, I'm also going to change, first I'm going to change this to the phone that I want. I'm going to set my phone. I set it up. I had to create one. You want to set it up to whatever device you have, almost exactly. You can pick out every single spec that you want on there. That's the one, the old phone that I was using for this. I'm going to change my app theme, and that should fix it. I don't know why it does this, but it does. So I'm going to change it to a dark action bar, and boom, we should get it. There we go. Okay, So I fixed that error. Now I'm running this. This is what I want to see. Oh, also, when you first start, it'll look like this, and you'll have the phone. You don't need the phone. Just get rid of it. So it's just it makes what you're working with a lot smaller. So just drop the frame. So now you have this big area to work with instead of just that little tiny area. Okay, so right off the bat, here's what we have. I'm just going to go through and show you. We are in portrait view. Here's the list of things that we have added so far. So we're on a relative layout. You'll learn more about what that is opposed to these other layouts. Here's the list of things that we can add on there, drag and drop. You can't really drag and drop one of these on top of another layout. You kind of have to choose which one you want. We're going to stick with relative. You'll only use relative for like half the book. And then you'll switch over to different other ones, grids, and you'll see. So anyway, so here's the text view that's on there, hello world. We're going to delete it. You can just delete that by hitting delete or backspace. We're going to get rid of it just because I don't want it. So just to mess around with it, so here's what we have. We have this page. We have some drag and drop, which we'll do here in a second. You also have this little thing, which is whatever's clicked here, you can affect different attributes of it here. So if this is just the background, the relative layout that I'm working with, I can change whatever. Really, the only thing you want to change is the background. Let's do that. I'm going to change the background. So I'm going to click here on background. This is checked, so this is what you're messing with. You can come over here to the 3 dots. I like to do that. You can actually hard code and put a pound or a hashtag or pound sign, whatever you actually call that thing, and then type in whatever you want. So let's do that. We're going to change it to black. So we're going to do that. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, okay. Boom. Now we have a black background. Okay. But let's say I wanted something a little bit darker or whatever. So let's move this around. Let's move this back up to white. There we go. And let's see, let's do right there. That's cool. Okay, nice cool color. All right. Aqua or teal or whatever you would call that. So so there's our background color. Pretty neat. And then if you want to, you can change a few other different things here. But really, the relative layout, there's not much you're going to be able to change. Okay, I'm going to come back to this, but for right now, you can see 2 tabs, design and text. We're going to click the text. This is your XML, your actual XML that you would hard code. Okay? So you can see it looks a lot like a, HTML, where you have opening and closing brackets, and then you have a lot like padding and different things. It looks a lot like HTML. So a lot of this is housekeeping. For instance, like this right here, you never want to get rid of these different things. They're very important. Okay, so we're going to drop a text over here. So first thing, right under widgets, you can click this, plain view text. Just click it once. You can either click and drag, or you can click it once, and then without holding anything down, you can just choose wherever you want. Relative layout is pretty neat because you can pretty much drop anything anywhere. So we're going to drop that down. It says new text. So let's change the text 3 different ways. We go back here to text, and it says text view. So text view is now put in there from where I drag and dropped it. So Android Studio has now sort of written this out for me. It's kind of nice. So where it says text right here, it's kind of already highlighted. I can change that to anything. Anything, literally. Okay, come back. And anything is right there. But I'm going to change it another. I didn't like that. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but I can double click right on there. And I can double click. Double click. Or I can come over to text I can remember. Okay, so again, when you're messing with stuff over here, make sure that you've clicked on what you want to mess with. That was what I couldn't see, text. Okay, so make sure you're clicked on there. Text, double click. All right, let's change it one more time over here to something. Something. Just kind of went crazy with that. Okay, let's change it again. I am clicked on there. I've got it checked over here. I don't like the color. I lose it too much in there. So let's change the color. I'm going to come over here. Let's see, blue, yellow, red. Let's go red. Okay, there we go. It's kind of small, so we want to change the size. Text size. Okay, so here's the big deal. Text size, you're going to use one type of increment as opposed to everything else. Everything else you're going to use DP. So it'll be like 180 DP as far as like the size of a button or an image or something. You'll use DP. The only other one you're going to use is SP. So let's go 26 SP. So think SP, spelling, kind of put those in your mind together. Okay, so there we go. So now we have that up there. That looks good. For some reason I put these at symbols, but whatever. I'm going to drag and drop a button on there, and this is not going to actually do anything because again, if I wanted it to actually do something, I would have to come over here to main activity and tell it you're going to do this, or that, or whatever. Okay, so, and also, yes, you can move stuff. Let's say I wanted the button to make something happen right here. I could delete this text, and now I have that text view right here as text view 2. And it won't show up when I run the app, but let's say I click the button, I could make text view 2 pop up and say something, or I could make this change. You could do anything you want, really. But let's delete that text view. Okay, so I have the new button. Double click. You can make it say whatever, kind of the same thing. I can change the background, can change this to a different image. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so double click, drop that down. Okay, so that is pretty much everything set up. Okay, one more thing. You see these little arrows. Don't worry too much about them. Just make sure that you have named these something that you know. You can either do it over here in the text, or you can do it here in the ID. So ID button. Let's change that to click and then BTT for button. Okay, so that way I know, oh, that's what that is. So when I come over here to my main activity and try to code that in, I remember, oh, it's called this. Okay. Same thing, and we'll say this is the something. I'm going to say view because it's a text view instead of a text field. So I'm going to say text view, which you'll see different. Yes, I'm going to change everything, so it's something view. Okay. Also, when you drag and drop, these are your, also one thing, some of these are just presets, so you don't really need to worry about that, like a plain text view, the large, medium, small. You can code all that, so just use the top one. Same thing, use the button, you don't need the small button. Image view, you know what, don't use the image button because you can change the background of a button if you wanted to. Whoops, I just added an image view in there. You don't want to do that. And then same thing here. You will actually use some of this because what these are actual blank places where people can enter in text so you can receive input from the user. And the reason you would choose one of these different ones is because the keyboard that it actually pops up. So if it's a number, let's say they're putting in their account number, you would want to choose this one because the keyboard that pops up on the phone would just be the numbers and not the whole full keyboard. So it's just kind of a nice little feature. All right, some of this other stuff you'll learn later. I'm not going to cover any of that. I'm going to cover how you run it. So everything should be going pretty smoothly. This should run. Okay, as you saw, I had to click and drag and open that my phone, my emulator. This does nothing, and just like I said, so here we go. So example 00, that's the name of the app. It's on the dark status bar there. So everything runs, everything's fine, great. If you had, so I'm going to click back over here. If I had any issues, move this up right here. Here's this little area, the Android run, and right here in the Android, it'll actually tell you if you have any errors, and it'll go red, and there'll be a little blue line, and it'll tell you what line exactly you have an error. So I'm going to hit stop, and that's going to kill the program right there. And just to get back to it, like I said, you just click down here. I don't really know, I haven't really messed with the terminal, but mainly Android, and then these two will actually kill it, mainly Android one. Okay, so again, text, this one, same thing, line numbers. It'll tell you the line numbers if you have any errors, and mainly it'll be in your Java instead of your, show line numbers. It'll be in your Java instead of your XML. Typically, you won't have any errors in that unless you've done something really screwy. But the Androids won't even let you compile it until you put it together right. But here, if you have a logical error, then that's your fault. You need to figure out how to work that out. Just be patient. So I had to run the emulator literally 3 times just to get it to run correctly. So like I said, you're going to save yourself a lot of time if you just get a device and try to work with that. Okay, so I think that'll take care of all the bells and whistles that you're going to be working with over here in this program. And you get a general idea of this is your Java class, and then this is your XML, which you will be working with. And then right here is kind of cool. It shows you the colors that you've changed things to. And then when you come with different icons, it'll actually show you little icons that you've changed stuff into in here too. Neat little trick. Just a little side note there. Okay, and then to get back to the design, go back to design, and you can drag and drop. So 3 different ways to work with XML: hard code it, drag and drop, and then change the attributes of each element here, and then just make sure you have each one of these clicked on which one you're changing. Okay, so I hope that explained a little bit how to work with Android Studio at the beginning. All right, and so yeah, hope you learned something. I'll catch you next time.